It's August and the middle of summer for the United States. So what are the great national parks to visit in the month of August? Let's start with Glacier National Park. Glacier National Park is a beautiful, beautiful place. So why is August the right time to visit Glacier National Park? Well, I'll give you 3 reasons. Number 1, August is the warmest month in Glacier National Park with a daytime high of 70 degrees and a nighttime low that's above freezing. Second reason, August is the driest month with only 7 days of rain on average. And third, by August, certainly, all the snow along the roads, and especially the Going to the Sun road, is fully open. So bottom line, August, you have warm weather, you have dry weather, and you have full accessibility to the park. The trade-off, of course, is that August will be crowded. It is the second busiest month of the year for Glacier National Park. And Glacier National Park itself is a very popular park with over 3 million visitors. It is the 10th most visited national park. And now this is especially impressive given the fact that it's so far away from a major population center. So when you go in August, be prepared for the crowds. You can avoid the crowds by getting to the parking areas early and get on the trails. Once you go into the trails, there shouldn't be too much of a crowding problem. So the key is to get to the parking lots like Logan's Pass, for example, before 9:30 or 9 o'clock. That way you will be able to park there and get off onto the trails before the real crowds hit. Glacier National Park was carved out of glaciers, and that's evidenced by the U-shaped valley, the jagged and thin mountains, and the wall formations. There are about 20 glaciers left, and that is shrinking fast. The one that is visible from the road, the Jackson Glacier, you have to kind of look pretty hard on a fairly clear day to see it. There are some glaciers, like the Grinnell Glacier, that you can hike to pretty easily, and they do have ranger-led tours that get you there on a day hike. If your primary aim is to see glaciers, however, you really should go to some of the Alaska parks. Places like Wrangell St. Elias National Park, places like Kenai Fjords National Park are great places to not only see the glaciers, but be able to set your foot on the glaciers and really explore. Glacier National Park, however, is a lot more than glaciers. It is so much fun to visit, and there are lots of things to see and something for everyone at Glacier National Park. For auto touring, there is the famous Going to the Sun Road. It is 50 miles that stretches from one end of the park to the other. The highest point on Going to the Sun Road is Logan Pass, which is 32 miles from the west entrance and 18 miles from the east entrance. The first automobile that drove the entire length of Going to the Sun Road happened in the fall of 1932. The name Going to the Sun came from a local Blackfoot Indian legend, which a deity named Sour Spirit came down from the mountain to teach the braves the rudiments of hunting. On his way back up to the mountain, Sour Spirit had his image reproduced on the mountain to inspire Blackfeet. The road is full of wonderful vistas and turnoffs that just begs you to stop and really enjoy the scenery. It is one of the most beautiful roads in the national parks. There are lots of trails to suit all hikers and all the interests and abilities. In the Two Medicine Lake area, there is the Astor Park Trail, which is a 4-mile round trip up the mountain to an overlook that overlooks the Medicine Lake. There is the very well-known Hidden Lake Trail by Logan Pass, and this is a 3-mile round trip to Hidden Lake Overview. Again, a beautiful, beautiful view overlooking the lake. And for another 1.5 miles down to the lake, you can get right to the lake, but get there early. The Logan Pass parking lot fills up pretty fast. I would highly suggest that you get there before 9 o'clock. Then you have the St. Mary Falls Trail, which leads to St. Mary Falls and Virginia Falls, which is a 70-foot tall waterfall that is absolutely gorgeous. The entire hike going through the woods is just fabulous. Another very interesting trail is the Grinnell Lake Trail. And to get there, you have a number of different ways, but one interesting way to get there is via a tour where you boat across the Swift Current Lake, and you do a 1/4-mile hike to get yourself to Lake Josephine, where another boat takes you across the Lake Josephine. and then you go on a mile-long hike to Grinnell Lake. That is just beautiful all the way around. You can see lots of wildlife, including bears foraging on the shores of the lake, and all sorts of wildlife going there. And once you get to Grinnell Lake, it is absolutely gorgeous and very secluded. You can also get on the Grinnell Lake Trail without going across on boats by hiking directly from the Swift Current Lake. You basically add 2.4 miles to your hike. There's also a ranger-led tour to Grinnell Glacier. That's a day hike that you can get yourself right up and close to the glacier. For backcountry hikers, there are plenty of trails that goes deep into the backcountry for overnight camping trips or just a very long hike. For boaters, there are many lakes and scenic cruises. There is the Two Medicine Lake, the St. Mary Lake. There is a Swift Current Lake, which is home to the Many Glacier Lodge, a beautiful, beautiful lodge in the best tradition of the national parks. And then there is the big Lake McDonald on the west side of the park. And as we talked earlier, there is the Grinnell Lake, which is very nicely secluded and beautiful. For train buffs, there is an Amtrak train that goes right to the park, so you can literally ride the Amtrak right to the park. What a beautiful way to see the country. So, you rather ride horses rather than trains? Well, you can do that too. There is horseback riding at Glacier National Park. So if you're into wildlife, there is bighorn sheep, and we saw some of them fighting each other, as you can see here. And there are the mountain goats, bears, and a variety of other animals, big and small. There's also plenty of wildflowers. Look at the nice flowers that we saw on a fall day on the Hidden Lake Trail. Many Glacier Lodge, right on the shore of the Swift Current Lake, is beautiful. It's so iconic of a typical national park lodge. While you are at Glacier National Park, you really should take the time to go visit Waterton Lakes National Park in Canada. The Waterton Lakes National Park and the Glacier National Park combined forms the Waterton Glacier International Peace Park. Waterton Lake is beautiful with the very nice looking Prince of Wales Hotel right on the hill overlooking the lake. And then you have the beautiful, beautiful town of Waterton Park, which is so quaint with very nice restaurants and shops, and very, very walkable in the downtown area. From Lake Waterton, you can also do a boat ride, which goes from Waterton Park, the town of Waterton Park, to Goat Hunt, which is on the US side. And you can also explore the Goat Hunt area of Glacier National Park from that side. So as you can see, Glacier National Park has something for everyone. That's what makes it so popular and is so much fun to visit. The links for the full video and the blog posts are in the description box below. Next up is the Olympic National Park. Olympic National Park, located on the Olympic Peninsula, which is on the northwest corner of the United States in the state of Washington. August is a great time to visit Olympic for the same reason that August is a good time to visit Glacier National Park. It never really gets very warm at Olympic National Park, but in August, the average daytime high temperature is generally in the 60s, and the nighttime temperature is above freezing, which makes it a good time to go. Second, August is one of the driest months of the year and averages only 3 days of rain in August. Third, by August, all the snow in the higher elevations have melted, which makes a visit to places like Hurricane Ridge very, very nice. Unfortunately, August is also the busiest month with over 700,000 visitors. However, Olympic is a very big park, so the crowd will disperse into the park as long as you arrive at the parking areas early so that you can get on the trails and disappear into the trails before the crowds hit. Olympic National Park is relatively close to Seattle, and yet it feels like a different world. You have quaint towns like Port Angeles and Port Townsend that are only 2.5 hours away, and that includes a ferry ride. The ferry ride is actually a very, very nice transition from the big city of Seattle to the Olympic National Park towns. It really sets up the right mood as you leave the city and go into the park. Olympic National Park is really 3 parks in one. You have the mountain, which is glacier capped. The Mount Olympus is 7,980 feet tall. You have the rainforest, a lot of old growth rainforest with some very, very nice sceneries as you walk through the very tall trees and the mosses hanging off of those trees. And you have the coastal zone, which gives you 70 miles of shoreline that is just very, very beautiful to be walking on the beach and to be walking among the driftwood. The easiest way to enjoy the mountain section is to drive up to Hurricane Ridge at elevation of 5,242 feet. Now, there are a number of trails at Hurricane Ridge, and the best known is the Hurricane Hill Trail, which is a 1.6 mile one-way hike to Hurricane Hill, which has an elevation of 57 feet. And at Hurricane Hill, there is fantastic views, and many times you are now above the cloud. And then there are a number of very short trails that are quarter to a half mile around the Hurricane Ridge Visitor Center. The rainforest section is on the west side of the park, where it's considerably wetter than the east side. Now, the rain clouds come in from the Pacific and they get blocked by the big Mount Olympus, so all the moisture drops on the west side of the park, creating a lot of moisture and a lot of rain so that the rainforest can thrive. Lake Crescent, which is a beautiful, beautiful lake with clear water, and that's right by US 101, so it's very accessible. And one of the trails that you can take near Lake Crescent is the Merrimere Falls Trail, which is 0.9 miles one way through thick old growth forest with ferns. And this scenery is fantastic. Further down Highway 101, you have the Solduc Falls and the Solduc Falls Trail, which is a 0.8 mile one way through even denser forests with even denser ferns to a beautiful waterfall. As you keep going down the road, you get to the Hall of Mosses Trail at the Whole Rainforest, which is also an 8.8 mile loop through a 5,000-year-old growth forest with very tall Sitka spruces that are covered with moss and lichens. The west side of the park is the Pacific coast with beautiful beaches. There are the occasional rock outcroppings that makes the scenery very interesting. There's in places lots of driftwood that you can explore and makes the beach look very, very interesting. You can drive down the coastline and stopping at any beach that you want. Most of them are a very, very short trail from the road onto the beach. On the east side of the trail, you have a road that follows the Hood Canal. Again, a very beautiful river, maybe a canal that is just absolutely fantastic. And then it leads to an area called the Staircase area and the Lake Cushman down this road. And it's also a lot of fun to go down this road. And in the Staircase area, there is the Rapids Loop combined with the North Fork Skokomush Trail that is 2 miles going through some old growth forest. Now, this is on the east side, so it doesn't get nearly as much moisture, so the growth is not as dense as on the west side. Olympic National Park is one of the most fun parks to visit. As said, it's really 3 parks in one, so you get a diversity of scenery, and there's lots of beautiful trails to go hike on, and you got the beaches, you got the mountains, and you got the rainforest, and it's just so much fun to visit. If you want to chill out, relax, and just let the dog days of summer go by, Voyageurs National Park is a beautiful, beautiful place, a beautiful lake for you to do just that. It is in northern Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes, right on the Canadian border. And July and August are the warmest month with the daytime highs in the mid-70s. And that makes August a great month to visit Voyageurs National Park. It is great weather to enjoy all of the water activities right on the lake. The lake is made up of 5 pretty big lakes: Kabetogama Lake, Rainy Lake, Namakan Lake, Sandpoint Lake, and Crane Lake. Some of these lakes share the Canadian border. The thing to do is to either rent a boat and go out on the lake or take a ranger-led boat tour. You can rent houseboats, you can have your own private boats, and the lake is big, and with only 50,000 visitors in August, it's certainly not going to be crowded. There are plenty of wildlife on the lake. For example, the bald eagles, the river otters, loons, geese, and if you're lucky, you can see the occasional moose. You can take a ranger-led boat tour to Kettle Falls from either Kabitogama Lake Visitor Center or the Rainy Lake Visitor Center. Along the way, the ranger will point out the wildlife and give you a nice history of what the park is and some of the people that have inhabited the park. And it's generally just a beautiful, beautiful experience. When you get to Kettle Falls, you can visit the Kettle Falls Hotel, which is very, very iconic and very interesting. Because of a foundational problem, it has severely slanted floors. And they kept one of the tables from the original, and if you actually put a mug across that table, it will just slide over onto the one side. At Kettle Falls, there's also a trail that leads to a dam that you can visit and have a good time. Even though this is primarily a lake-themed park with lots of water activities, there are some hiking trails along the shore. So for example, there's a 2.5-mile Blind Ash Bay Trail and a 1.7-mile Oberholzer Trail, which is near the Rainy Lake Visitor Center. And along the way, you can actually visit a beaver pond, as you see here, which gives a nice variety. Voyageurs National Park is a lake lover's paradise. You can do all of the normal lake activities in the summertime, and August is a great time to visit. If you should choose to visit at a different time of the year, perhaps you might consider doing it in the middle of the winter. When the lake freezes over, you can go ice fishing. And of course, the fall gives you a nice fall foliage. But if you want to fully enjoy the Voyageurs National Park with all its lakes, August is a great time to visit. August is a wonderful time of the year to visit many national parks. The weather is warm, all the snow has fully melted, so all the parks are fully accessible. But I do highly recommend the Glacier National Park, Olympic National Park, and Voyageurs National Park on your list for the parks to visit in August. We are on our way to visit all the national parks in the United States. Follow along by hitting the subscribe button below. Hit the notification bell so you know when a new video is released. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video, and please share it with everybody that you know.